Hello, bonjour. Welcome to lifebalancefitness.ca. My name is Craig. As usual, feel free to check out the website and social media for exercise ideas. There's lots of them. What we're going to talk about today is a grade 1 ankle sprain because I just had one and it might be useful for other people to have a look. This is the one that I sprained here. This is the good one. You can see the difference between the two. This one is still swollen. So what happens with a grade 1 ankle sprain is so what happened for me is I stepped down an uneven surface and I rolled out beyond the point of where the ligaments normally are used to going. So there was stretching and a slight tearing, perhaps, of the ligaments, probably on the far side here. So what happens after that is you get swelling, some pain, a little bit of bruising. For me, not too bad. Okay, and you're probably going to walk around with a limp, but what you want to do as soon as you sprain your ankle, one, assess how bad that is. Can you still put weight on it? Yes. Okay. Probably not broken. Probably not a grade 3 tear where it's totally torn off. Right? If you can put some weight on it and walk around with minimal pain, probably a grade 1. Probably if you take care of it, should be good in maybe a few days, maybe a week. It's hard to say, depending on how badly that you sprain it. So what you should do if that happens to you is get off your feet. So rest, ice, compression, and elevation make up the acronym RICE. Right? So it's not always in that order, but rest is when you're gonna rest it. So you're gonna get off your leg and then you're gonna elevate it. So that's the E. So that's the R and the E of RICE. Right? So rest, elevation. All right. The I is for ice, so you're going to ice it. So depending at home on what you got, maybe you have an ice pack from like your cooler. Try to ice that, maybe on one side, and the other side, if it's a hard block like this, whatever that you got going. If you have one that's more flexible, that would be perfect. So then ice packs. If you don't have one, maybe go out and buy one. Or worst case, see what you have in the freezer. If you have a frozen bag of peas or vegetables, then you can wrap that around there, and as much as you can, on and off, for 48 to 72 hours. All right. Mine is not too bad. So that is the rest, ice, compression, elevation. So the compression is when you're able to walk around, or if you're able to walk around right away and you need to. Compression is wearing one of these sleeves or supports. So you just slide that on. That will help to immobilize or support that ankle when you walk around. Right? So I'm just slide back here. So a bit of a crash course in a grade 1 ankle sprain. If it happens to you, get off your feet, elevate it, ice it. If you need to move around, put on a sleeve or some kind of support or brace, and hopefully if you take care of it in a few days, 3 to 5 days, hopefully you should be close to back to normal function. Grade 2 and 3 are obviously much worse, so if you can't put any weight on it, then probably a grade 3, or it might be broken, so like you need to go to a hospital and get that checked out as soon as you can. All right, so again, thanks for watching and have a great day.